called So Long, So Long. I just kept thinking about you. It's probably maybe because I wrote it about a place, physical place that I'd been when I was really discovering your music. And so you were in that song, whether you were going to be on that song or not. It relates to like a beach town I grew up in and was sort of leaving. Anyway, I was when I lived there, and at that time I was really, really obsessed with your writing. It felt like a big shot to ask you to be a part of it, but you were gracious and made me feel like it was a normal thing to ask you.
Well, it was a weird thing, I got the song. I can't stress this enough. I couldn't believe how much it did not need me. Like, the first, like, demo, whatever recording I had of it was so good. And the vocals around the lead were so good. And the ba-da-da-bump, it just seemed, like I said, I do think in the end I added really cool stuff to that song. But I can't tell you, when I first heard it, I was like, there's so little need for me on this song. There's no point. I felt like, wow, I was really intimidated by, this song feels really done to me. And I don't know, I had no idea what to do on it. And I also can't sing a lot of stuff like Chris can sing. I say all that, and then I got in there and we did all kinds of cool stuff. And it actually turned out, it's one of my favorite things I've ever done with somebody else. I love that song so much. But I remember hearing it for the first time and thinking, wow, this is a great song. Wow, is it already done? Like,
yeah, but it wasn't, Adam. And when you came in, it was, it's more malleable probably to my ear than it was to yours. But, when you came in, you carried the thing to where I could only dream it could go. And I will say, if you felt like there was less room for you, I think maybe I'd already been inspired to try to do every idea that I thought you might ever do before I ever thought that you could be actually part of the song. It was paying homage to you guys. But that was a good evolution for our friendship. I think working together, like before we really knew each other very well, was a incredible icebreaker. It's inside out almost, right?
Yeah, I do think that's true. It's a really good way to get to know someone working on music together. It really does, because after that, we've been really good friends since then. Like, we've done stuff together, and we've, like, chatted all the time. We've toured, hung out with the families, but it really started right then, just in time for you to move away. I think we both have so much commonality, and this is true of like all music. It's a weird thing to, like, at some point in your life make this decision that I feel all this stuff, and so I should sing it and make it rhyme. Like, that's a weird life choice to make, but it's a life choice that all of us musicians make because we're insane fuckers, and that is like the commonality that is true of all of it. Whether you're James Brown or Dashboard Confessional, it's like I got this need to do this thing. Other people just go talk to people, like they just talk to their friends about shit, whereas the rhyming doesn't really matter, but
they have the fortitude to just say what they mean in social settings. And maybe because they can process it faster, and I don't. Maybe I process it slower and have to get through it later. And I don't just mean emotionality. I mean, like, just like complicated feelings about the way the world is, complex feelings. Anyway, the one thing that I'm interested in seeing in you, and I have been interested in watching in you over the years, is, you say you're like it's coming from the heart, and you're just trying to get it out to the ears out there, and. But your heart changes, the way you feel about the thing you wrote changes. And it's interesting, what I've loved about being a Counting Crows fan, for your whole existence, is listening to how the new songs express differently, sonically differently, where you seem to be at that time, but with the same amount of heart. And then if I go to see you live, those songs I've lived with so long, they get pulled into a new sonic place because it seems like your heart's in a different place. But there's so much heart that it lands with such force every time. So it lands so well too.
I am most excited about hanging out with Chris, kind of, because
As am I.
It's like the best thing.
And now you.
Touring with friends is the coolest thing. It really is. Like, I've been really lucky the last few summers. We had Sean Barna and Matt Susich out with us, and Stephen Kellogg out for a little while, and Frank Turner, and the summer we spent, or whenever that was, when we took out Twin Forks, was such a blast. And I had such a good time. I really am looking forward to that. That's although I'll see you before then, because we're getting together next week.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see you, but I can't wait to watch you. I can't wait to watch you every night. I can't wait to, it's been a really long time since we were the opener on a band on a tour, or opener for a band on a tour, and so I'm excited about. There's a thing I love where, when you're headlining, you can watch the other bands. Of course, you can, but at some point you do get like whisked away. Because it's prep time, and maybe you miss, if there's several bands, you get to watch a couple of them in full, but you get mixed, you get pulled away. But I will be able to watch every note. And one thing that I love about being on tour is how inspirational it is and instructive. Like, I never thought about exploring that for our band. Now I'm going to go try. I'm going to try, and I get to try tomorrow. I love that part of it.
Yeah, it's like, I just keep thinking of Chris came into our dressing room once when we were on tour with Twin Forks. I think he wanted like a beer or something. I can't remember. He's like, "Hey, can I get a beer or a soda or something?" And I said, "Sure, whatever." Like our dressing room's your dressing room. Come in, take whatever you want. Come in any time. I must have overstated it because Chris left, and then he comes running back in a few minutes later, grabs another beer, rips his shirt off over his head and screams, "Carrabba!" and then runs out.
Yeah, so we'll have some more moments like that, I think, to look forward to on this tour. You get a little punch drunk out there on the road, I guess. And
Carrabba! It's become like a
the
thing.
real you comes all the way out sometimes, I think. Hey, are we going to do, can we get away from the venues together on this tour? I'd love to. Let's get out of it. Let's not be stuck. Let's go out and do stuff. I can't wait. I'm going to drag you out. I'm going to make sure you get out.
I have to be really careful a lot of the time because my voice, I sing really hard and my voice doesn't recover that well. So I've become like a monk in my later years on tour where I'm just sitting in my hotel room.
Adam, this is why it's perfect, because we can just walk. We don't have to talk to each other. Just be in the presence of another human being, but we don't have to interact. I'm going to go through the same thing you are out there, buddy.
You do all the talking. Yeah. And we'll,
No way.
Well, as long as we're, we have a few days off, I'm fine. I can rest it and be fine. One of the best things that's happened to me in recent years, like when you start off playing, you have a peer group of musicians around you because you're in the clubs, and I felt like when we, got signed and went off and kind of became rock stars or whatever, I lost all that. I mean, unless you want to go hang out at the MTV Awards, you kind of don't have that anymore. And I'd really missed that. But, we started this festival years ago, the Outlaw Roadshow, and then Underwater Sunshine, these indie festivals. And I made a lot of friends from that. But in recent years, like that group and me and Chris, my friend Dave Leo Pepe from Gang of Youths, I feel like we've been like sharing music as we're working on it. Like I can remember getting emails or texts from Chris and getting Sleep In and Sunshine State, and I'm trying to think one of the other ones. Some of the stuff from the new record as he was working on it, as he was writing it, and I was sending him stuff from Butter Miracle, and I was getting stuff from like Sean Barna. And we were all kind of hanging out here together at one point, and it just felt like I finally had this group of guys who completely understand what it is we do. this weird thing, and I could share stuff with them when I'm working on it, and they were sharing stuff with me, and we could talk about it, and like it made it. I felt so much better about going to make a record because, you know, I felt like, I don't know, I'd bounced stuff off of peers of mine, and it was a really big thing for this last record. I kind of felt like I was in this little peer group, especially me, Chris, Sean, and Dave Leo Pepe, where we were kind of like, you know, passing stuff around, and it was really helpful for me.
Boy, the stars really aligned timing-wise.
Yeah.
For the four of us there, because we were all turned out writing records. It turned out we were all writing records, but I think we were all finding our way into writing again. To have a place where we could bring these songs in their absolute infancy and their fragile state, I guess, is a you know, where we don't know how we feel, and maybe we're like afraid to feel good about those songs. That's how I felt sending you stuff, sending you guys all that stuff, and but then I would get yours, Dave's and Sean's, and feel like this is the path. This is part of how we all do it, or at least all four of us. And Adam, when I was, I even remember positing to you guys, like, you know, this all feels strangely like as raw as it was, like appropriate for the kinds of songs they are. I think it was you that reminded me that my first few records were just me and an acoustic guitar, and like what's wrong with that was kind of how you presented it. Got me thinking, like, oh, like maybe it is in fact the lack of artifice, or maybe that could be the thing I explore this time again. It had been so long since I'd done that. So I guess that process was fruitful in the way that it made me think about songs, and the way it made me think of my songs and your songs, all of our songs. And I was always thinking about songs, lyrics especially, and but it was fruitful in that it made me feel like confident that I'd really thought it through when I made that decision to leave it sparse as a finished project, to be very understated.
Yeah, because I mean, I was floored getting some of those, especially, like, I loved Sunshine State, but when you sent me Sleep In, I mean, I was just floored by the intimacy of it, and it was just kind of like, you know, there's something kind of breathtaking about the feeling in that song, and you know, it retains that feeling on the record too. That kind of, it's just a perfect song, and it.
Well, I think your songs also retain that. There's a vulnerability in the suite, I think, overall.
Yeah.
And it's a lush record. It's not sparse. But what you were sending me at the time was really sparse with I think you had ideas for how it could be arranged, but also I remember you saying that you were like more open to just seeing what happens than you've been in a while. See if these songs even led you to another song, if one song would even lead to another. I remember you going through that and feeling like, oh, there's that's more common than I thought. I thought this was this weird affliction I had.
Yeah.
And because there is a strong network you have of people that when you're younger and when you haven't had your shot, when you haven't really made it or even had your crack to make it, where everyone around you is equally hungry and confident and kind of like it's the mixture, right, of being like cocksure and like an artist. So you don't think anything you do could be good. And along the way, you lose that because everyone cycles through life differently. And, you know, you have a job now. It's just, like, that's the least, like, yes, you're a rock star, but like, frankly, like it's a job. It's a job. So like you're forced to grow up a little, and the people you're surrounded with aren't your buddies that are all trying to be artists. They're maybe people that are just trying to do good work now, which is different, I think.
Yeah, because I think it is important to like come to that realization about how the fact that it is work and no longer just a hobby. Because I hear all these people talk about, oh yeah, I used to do that, but then it became work and I didn't like it anymore. But, you know, for me, I have such vivid memories of being younger and wanting to be an artist and being really scared because it seemed impossible and I didn't know how I was going to support myself. You know, meanwhile, I'm working all these other jobs, landscaping or dishwashing or doing construction. There's something really satisfying about the fact that it is my job now. Like, it's not just for fun. It's not a hobby. Because I was so scared about not being able to support myself and take care of myself. And now that I can, through making art, like, I feel really reverent of the fact that it's a job. Because
yeah, I have a duty to do that job,
yeah.
I feel, because of those reasons, for those reasons. Yeah.
And also because there are, now there are people that depend on us. There are crew members and tour managers and, with us, like our tour managers have been with each of us forever. Like Jack and Tom have been, with our respective bands forever. And like, there's a lot of people that you're responsible for in life. Your band, your family, your crew, and the fact that I've been able to like have a job making art and making that work for all these years, like I'm so intensely proud of that. And it is kind of a different part of your life than the dreaming part, but it's no less satisfying in a way because, hobbies are great, but you do them because they're fun and you stop when they're not. But jobs are different and art is different because art, you wouldn't do art for your whole life if you only did it when it was fun because it's much, much, much too hard for that. And like the fact that the two of us have been able to carry this off all these years, and carry on into the future, it's really cool, and really rare.
Adam, one word to describe our friendship.
It's really tough. Carrabba! Sorry, that's my word, and I'm sticking with it.
I would say, all right, one word I'd say, it's one word. I'm not a one-word guy. Haven't you heard my songs?
Neither am I. I'm a wordy guy. If it wasn't for Carrabba, I'd be lost here.
All right, how about important?